This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. And here it's actually sunny today, looks like warm. And welcome aboard to your very own safari through the African bush. Good day, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve again. Here we got Giraffe. A female giraffe, looks like she's busy drinking. It's what an amazing sighting to see. My name is Andrew on camera. I have Simon again this afternoon. So we came to this area. I didn't know actually there was a giraffe. I was just kind of like starting my drive, just to see what I will begin with. So we are lucky. In fact, there's two giraffes in this area. Another one, it's way further in the thicket, where I think whether she have drank, whether or not, you just saw this one actually drinking right now. She might actually going to do that again. She just needed on time to do it. There she goes. Such an amazing to witness. Giraffe drink. So here, it's quite warm today. The temperature of the day is 33 degrees 92 Fahrenheit. That's where we stand. So it's quite a warm, humid. And if the weather changes later, that won't be surprising me. But that's what we need. We need more rain so that the river must flow. This dam must be overfull so that we know we have water for the rest of the winter. Remember to communicate with us, again, on kids questions at WildEarth.tv, also on hashtag WildEarth, as well as at FC, it's the YouTube channel, and at WildEarth.tv/an explorer. So this is how we're going to be talking to you from that far, wherever you are this afternoon. We would like to hear from you. What I witnessed about this giraffe, it looks like the other one that went into the bush was a lot darker. This is actually a lot paler looking animals right here. And the females, as you can see, a lot of hair on top of the horn, so they don't actually form a bald or patch of white on top, so that males does that. But also looking at this size of the horn, a lot thinner. Pale ears they have, both male or female will have them, because what they use is sign communication or visual communication whenever they separate in the wood. Once they pick one another up, and they were able to see a little bit of a silhouette of a white wherever in the thicket, or chance of one is up in a hill. So drinking like this for a giraffe would need at least maybe 28, 26 liters of water or above that a day. For them to be able to get around so much, move in and out in this area. They don't have to be in a group, where we're lucky actually we just find two of them here, where a lot of time you do find giraffe alone or in a group. Doesn't make any difference in them. Well, they're not territorial at all. Even those males are sometimes been seen together in a number of anything from 4 to 6 males or 10 possibly bulls in that area. she's done right now. Look at that tongue, she's God. Adam, you're asking if the giraffe do swim. I'm not sure of that. But what I understand, since they're very tall, if they get into water, they're able to touch the ground, bottom of the water, and get out from the other side, since they can't drown, since they're very long neck. But I'm not sure if they can actually swim though. Or most of the animals can swim. Seen buffalo can do that as well. Elephants can. Even those kudus can. Most of the antelope, but I'm not entirely sure with the giraffe. So another one is still a visual way through the bush, but it's not actually great visual there. All you see is just a little bit of a silhouette through the wood. There it is. There she is. So what you see, giraffe, they also one of the interesting animals. They always accept many of the other antelope species, and which can be a kudus, can be impalas, or those of warthogs. Maybe some giraffe, all these, they not actually have a problem with them. It works better that way. When they form that kind of group, it's all about trust for survival. Or many of the time, you'll come across antelope which, when they see a danger, they do make sound, kind of like either a barking sound, if it's a kudu, or can be of one of these vocal sound or snort sound that do. And then with giraffe, they tend to be very much silent. They love doing that. So I'm going to be carrying on searching in this area while I'm sending you over Lauren with her hippo.
Not so silent animals are the hippos. Right in front of us here at Joca Dam. This is my first time at this dam, and I have to say, I have fallen in love with it. It's fastly becoming one of my favorites. My name is Lauren. I do have Marcello on camera today, and we're looking for the dogs. We're here looking for the mad dashers, the madash. They're around the dam somewhere, but we just had to stop. Look at this tree, bustling with weavers. It's so active. Hippos, we've got juveniles. It's beautiful. This is my first time at the dam. I hope it's maybe all of your first time at this dam as well. Now, just a quick update. We did go and see Tingana Banana. No signal, I'm afraid. So what happened this morning was Tingana and Hukamuri were with Andrew. And I think Hukamuri ran, Tingana ran into Buffalo's Hook. Now, when he ran into Buffalo's Hook, he encountered a single wild dog on an impala kill, an impala lamb, and he stole from the dog and hoisted it. So I love Tingana. As many of you know, he's my favorite leopard. But this just shows you all predators will scavenge from one another. We need to get used to the fact that they will all steal. Tingana walked into a dog, he could probably smell them, but the dog had killed and immediately backed off because it's a leopard, and Tingana just went in, took the baby lamb and hoisted it up a tree. So he's not too far from here, and he's snoozing in a drainage line, which means we don't get any signal, I'm afraid. So we're looking for the dogs. We're going to have to sort of look very carefully into the areas of shade. I imagine they'll still be here. They'll be around this dam. When they get thirsty, they're probably going to get mobile and come straight here. But I just don't know exactly which patch of shade they're going to be in. Look at this hippo loving life. Lazy boy, up to 5 to 6 minutes, an adult hippo. But you can see them right now, they're very relaxed, and some of them have got their nostrils out, some of them have not. So normally sort of 5 to 6 minutes is your longest time that they'll stay underwater. But a newborn, a calf, can only hold its breath for about 40 seconds, and it gets better and better and better, training its lungs as it gets older. They can also make themselves negatively buoyant. Buoyancy is something you learn about when you're diving, and you're able to control it with your own lungs. And the hippos, if they really want to submerge themselves completely, look at the weavers, Marcel, look at this, they're so active. You can hear them. If they want to submerge themselves completely, they'll exhale before going under. Not entirely, because they need some oxygen, but they'll exhale, and that will make them negatively buoyant, and they'll sink. I think this could be the village weavers. How lovely, look at all the males preparing their little nests for the ladies. Ah, such a wonderful sighting, spending time with the weavers. So we're just going to scratch around this dam and hopefully find the dogs, but for now, we're going to send you across to Grant.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to and beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. And it is a very, very warm afternoon. You can see that wildebeest lying down in the shade. And when you see that, then you know it's a very, very hot afternoon. So my name is Grant, and behind the camera is Owen. And it feels like it's about 45 degrees, but yeah, it's about 37 degrees at the moment. And we've come out to see if we can find some rhinos this afternoon, and we've come across this blue wildebeest. Oh, and he's just stood up. It must have been my talking that got him to stand up. So there were some more standing in the shade on the other side where that wildebeest is heading towards now. And I think that might be his harem that he's going to follow. Oh, and a little trot through the thicket. And he's off. So, we're going to continue on our journey. Our car starts, which is good. And we're going to be checking these open grasslands in this area. Starting looking for white rhino, but in amongst these open grassy clearings there are some really nice dense thickets, which is where I'm sure a lot of the animals are resting at the moment. But the open grassy areas, really good grazing for, well, wildebeest, but also white rhino, which we're going to start looking for. And then those thicker areas have got lots of very good browsing vegetation. And so in this area there is a very good chance of finding a black rhino. Peter's asking how the weather affects animal behavior. And they respond just like us. When it's hot, they go for shade. They try to find somewhere nice and cool. But with animals, they have to be careful about going into an area where they could put themselves at danger of being attacked by a predator. So they'll make sure that if they find some shade, they'll make sure that the area around that shade is nice and open, that they can keep a lookout for any danger. They will move a lot less. It takes a lot of energy when an animal has to move when it's very hot. And so they will move a lot less, especially bigger animals like elephants, rhinos, even wildebeest and zebra. You'll find most of them resting in the hottest parts of the day. And in summer you'll actually sometimes find that they don't feed at all during the day. They wait till the cool of night. And sometimes they feed at night, but then of course they have to be extra vigilant and look out for predators. So it's a balancing act that they have to play if they want to survive. You'll see how lush the vegetation is around me. And so we've been seeing some elephants in this area. We're going to keep a lookout for any interesting birds. There's some raptors flying around. Oh, let's actually have a look at those. They almost seem to be circling a little bit. But as they're circling, they're moving, so they're moving in a direction. They're not necessarily circling above a kill. Yeah, and it looks as though they are both little steppe buzzards or common buzzards. And just below them there's a valley, and what seems to be happening is the wind is racing through that valley and actually pushing up beneath them, and so they're just riding in that wind, scanning down on the ground, into the grass and into the bushes, checking if there's any potential prey for them. They have quite a variety of prey as well, so things like grasshoppers, mice, but yeah, they just, oh, there, that one is dropping down. Maybe he spotted something. So we're going to carry on searching this area, see if we can find any of those rhinos, and I'm going to send you across to Mike, who's got some ducks.
So those raptors are looking for food, and we've got a couple of Egyptian geese that also look like they're busy looking for tasty things amongst the mud and the cracks at the banks of Tswalu Dam. They were having a bit of a swim, but they've decided to go for a bit of a walk. It's always good to vary up your exercises to get a nice, healthy lifestyle. And of course, to eat healthy. You might even be looking for a bit of greens. It's a lovely day though. It's nice and hot and sunny. It's not too windy. There's a heavy humidity in the air. Perhaps there's a storm brewing and on its way. I don't know. Maybe the geese will tell us if we hang out here. So as always, we're starting out here at Tswalu Dam, just because it's a nice hot day and you never know what might turn up. Hi everyone, I'm Mike Anderson. Behind the camera is Seb, and you are joining us at Eco Training's Pridelands Conservancy. It is nice and hot. In fact, so hot I'm sweating right now, and we're even sitting in the shade. And it's about 33 degrees here. What is that in Fahrenheit? Maybe like 95, 96 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe even warmer than that. So it's very hot and very humid. It's the perfect day for animals to come down to the waterhole. I hope that will be the case. We did hear a couple of elephants a little earlier, trumpeting in the distance. So maybe they'll come and have a dip in the cool, refreshing waters of a now much larger Tswalu Dam after all the rains that we had recently. Hopefully it'll get even larger with more rains on the way. You can see all the areas where the elephants used to mud wallow are all completely submerged now. There, right in the middle of the screen, was where all the dark reflections of the trees, that was all mud before. Sarah, so I could swim in this dam, but I'd be terribly nervous about a potential crocodile, especially now that it's so much larger than it used to be. There's every chance that a crocodile slipped in here during the wet weather that we had a week ago and has now taken up residence here. Not only that, but there are a lot of terrapins in here. And now, as we've seen buffaloes go into this waterhole, Sarah, the terrapins go straight to the buffaloes and start nipping at them in order to eat dead skin and parasites off of the buffalo. Now, I would not want them to do that to me, because my skin is much softer than a buffalo's skin, and they might accidentally take a chunk out of me, or they'll be like piranhas, maybe devour me completely. They are carnivorous, after all. They'll eat whatever they can fit in their mouths, to be honest, and even stuff they can't. I've seen a video of a terrapin catching a dove. In fact, there's lots of terrapins trying to feed right now. I don't know if you'll be able to get that, Seb. You see all these terrapins moving with their heads above the water. Sarah, that's another reason why I probably wouldn't go in here. Terrapins are really, really smelly. when they urinate, it smells real bad. It's actually not urine. If they feel threatened, they squirt out this foul-smelling liquid from an anal sac, which smells real bad. So I'm sure there's lots of that in the water as well. No hippos that we've seen so far, which is partly good because our camp is right here and we wouldn't want students to be bumping into hippos during the night. Look at that terrapin there, literally just with its mouth open, just snapping away, trying to catch any insects on the surface. Hermana, I've never seen a spur-winged goose here at Pridelands, but I mean, I suppose they could occur. They occur in the surrounding areas. They are not uncommon birds, and I'm not sure if you all know what a spur-winged goose looks like, but for those of you who don't, I'm about to show you if I can find it in my book. They are really massive. They're the largest of all the geese and ducks that we get around here. So if I can show you in the book right over here. We get an Egyptian goose. In fact, we saw a couple of Egyptian geese just a moment ago here at the dam. So that's the Egyptian goose there, and that's a spur-winged goose. Much larger, dark duck with a, well, goose rather, with a red face, or the males anyway, and it's a lot larger. So where Egyptian goose is 70 centimeters or 68 to 70, these spur-winged geese are 98 centimeters. So that's a meter tall, a massive bird. So we haven't seen them yet at this waterhole, but I suppose they could. They like grasslands, to be honest, more often found in the grassland areas, especially those that are adjacent to these big kind of waterholes. So it's really cool. I hope we do get to see some. It'll be really great. They've got a really interesting call for such a large bird, much larger than the goose, the Egyptian goose. So the Egyptian goose makes this very raucous goose-like sound. A spur-winged goose makes a very high-pitched little tweeting sound. It goes when it flies off, just like that, high-pitched sort of whistling tweet. Very odd sound for such a massive bird. Oh, the wind is picking up now. You can see the ripples on the water. And today the water doesn't smell so great. Yeah, we had a question yesterday about how it smelt being at the dam. Yesterday it was fine, but today as we drove up to it, with all this hot weather, it's fermenting slightly and it's starting to smell a little bit funky. But it's still very important, a drinking water source for many animals. So even though it's not great for us, animals will definitely need to come here frequently. We did pass a herd of buffalo earlier when we left from our HQ, very small group, maybe 5 or 6 of them, heading towards another waterhole. But hopefully in this area there's a bigger herd which will come down. Rosalind, not too many that we've seen so far, to be honest. I've seen white-faced whistling ducks, Egyptian geese, and there's the potential... I thought I just heard a white-faced whistling duck in the distance. We've seen knob-billed ducks flying over, and I think it was last year when this place got very full and flooded, we even saw African black ducks. So that's 4 different duck species. And I mean, there's the potential for many more. If our water holes fill up and stay nice and full and the vegetation grows around them, then we'll get a lot more aquatic birds, wading birds coming down. But different birds like different things. They don't all just want water. Some of them like the thick vegetation at the edge of the water. Some of them like the muddy banks. Some of them like the open water. So while we wait for something large to come down to our waterhole, we'll send you over to Grant, who's already got something quite big.
Well, we've managed to find something large ourselves. We've come across a really beautiful view and decided to stop and scan with our binoculars. And just giving you an idea of the landscape that we're in at the moment. You see that elephant far in the distance. And he looks like he's on his way to some water. And you might notice the vegetation or the landscape, the lay of the land that I was talking about earlier. We've got the grasslands on the hillsides, and then down in the valleys we've got these really dense thickets. And down in the valleys, the drainage lines have got quite a bit of water in them from the recent rain, so there's some puddles and pans. And down in the valleys, we'll be looking out for, especially in this heat, the rhinos and buffaloes will be down in those pans, wallowing. But something like the elephant could be as well. But it seems as though that elephant is on his way to some water. There is a pan, a watering hole where he's headed. And a little bit further to the right of him, I can just make out like a little cloud of dust where I think there's another elephant busy dust bathing himself. No sign of any rhinos just yet. But this is the first little vantage point that we're going to be scanning from. So from here we'll be dipping down into the valley, coming up onto the hill on the other side, and then once we get to the highest point we'll scan again with binoculars. So that elephant has gone to water. That's going to be our direction for now. So I'm going to send you across to have a look at a stalk.
Beautiful. What we got here, also we have stalks. It's called a yellow bull stalk. As you can see, they have very long yellow bill as well. And they're big, very sharp. And they use them to actually dip into water. That's how they do hunt for their food. Many times, these stalks, you always see them around a lake. Not like other stalks sometimes where you find them, like white stalk. They would be seen in a very open land where there is not much of water sometimes. But this one, they always make sure they're around the water for their own special diet. So arthropods, they will be feed on, and so many of other small fishes, and they feed also on frogs. One is actually sitting probably down and the other one is standing up. So, but this is actually a way of maybe taking it easy before they go around the water edge, circling around there. When they hunt, actually when they do that. So they also use their legs, feel whatever they're going to step on, and sometimes they will move backwards a bit. And they continuously do that non-stop all around the water. And they only hunt on the edge of the water, but a bit of it, they gotta go in. So as you can see, they have long legs. It's for them to be able to get inside. But they make sure they don't get into very deep water. They make sure wherever the big feet to the ground before they rise get wet or touch the water. And it means they can also walk around, their feet can also fit into that area. But they switch place to another quite often. And then sometimes you do find them around here, sometimes they would be gone. You know, different water hole. This time of year, so many of water hole, it's actually have a lot of water. So at night, in dusk and dawn, they still do a lot of movement, but they will perch in one of the dry tree, and then for the night, perch on top of these trees, and in the morning, they're down again. It's quiet here, the Joca Dam right now where we're at. There's sometimes a lot of a time when it's a temperature rise to the 3 degrees, there's a chance that you may see maybe a lot of animals coming to drink, also swim like an elephant. But I think that is because of many of water. It's everywhere, not only in this huge dam, but there's some small puddle of water So I'm going to carry on my search again, and I'm going to be sending you over to JP.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tswalu. We are situated in the heart of the Kalahari in the Northern Cape province of South Africa. At the moment we're just studying the clouds, seeing what they're busy doing. For most of the afternoon we had a slow build-up of cloud, which is developing into quite large clouds, which is known as cumulonimbus clouds. These clouds in general have a potential of bringing rain, thunder, as well as lightning. I'm not sure if you would be able to see it, but it's very faint at the backdrop. There's clouds that forming rain and slight drizzle that's falling. This drizzle actually dissipates before it even hits the ground, and it's known as Virgo, something that is quite often seen in the Kalahari. Our plan for this afternoon is to head off a little bit further south, and we're going to work for water holes, seeing that it's been quite a warm day. My name is JP Leroux, and behind the camera we've got Davy. For those viewers that have tuned in with us for the first time, the Kalahari is exceptionally green at the moment after it has received So around about a week ago, we had approximately 70 millimeters for this area, which is almost 1/3 of the rainfall for this area per annum. So in general, the Kalahari receives anything between 120 and 400 mils of rain. However, they do occasionally have more than 700 millimeters per year. But that's the exception to the rule. So one of the things that separates the arid western savanna system, that's known as the Kalahari, from true desert is rainfall. Under those conditions with desert, we actually have less than 100 millimeters of rain per annum, and also absence of grasses, where in the Kalahari you also have grasses growing. One of the features that we're seeing at the moment is the exceptional amount of grass and flowers that has grown back after the rain has fallen.
Join our Explorers program so we can keep on sharing nature with the world. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic WildEarth expeditions, have access to an animal identification app, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn connects a global population with nature. WildEarth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special WildEarth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes WildEarth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a WildEarth Explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Hello, boy. You are a monster. And he's coming right up to us. Hello, boy. Oh, settle down. Settle down. He is very, very close. He's pushing his trunk against the car. You can feel the car moving. Hey, 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 hey. Stop that.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Copy. We found a tower of giraffes here. Also, some of them enjoying the shade. And then we've got one that's lying down in the sun. And it's something I've never understood, and I have tried to look into it, but I haven't found anything conclusive. It almost is just as if some of them feel like they need the shade, and some of them are not hot enough to go into the shade. And those three that are standing up, if Owen goes into a little bit closer to the one in the middle, have a look at her ossicones. She is busy ruminating, but have a look at that. So her one horn is very, very skew, which is quite unusual for a female to have a skew horn, which means it more than likely happened when she was born. From the drop when she was born, she might have landed on the top of her head, and it might have dislodged that bone slightly. See, that's a very interesting question. How strong is a giraffe's tongue? I don't know exactly how it would be measured, but from what I've seen when they're feeding, their tongues look very strong. They've got, I've seen them feeding on very, very tough thorn bushes, and actually ripping and breaking twigs just using their tongue. So the more typically the new growth, so the softer vegetation right on the ends of the branches, they're able to wrap their tongue around that and actually use their tongue to create a bit of leverage and wrap that twig. And then they will chew and swallow that new growth, including the little thorns and the new little leaves on that branch. So their tongue is very, very strong. They don't have anything else to help them when they are feeding. They only use their tongue and their lips. And so if they are wanting to use their tongue to break something off, it is sufficiently tough to snap any kind of vegetation that they would like to feed on. And then, of course, it is tough in the fact that it has to withstand the powerful rays of the sun. So that is one of the reasons why it's that dark color. It's because their tongues spend so much time out of their mouth. It's around about 16 to 18 hours of the day that giraffes actually spend feeding. And so for that amount of time, majority of that time, their tongue is actually out of their mouth, pulling leaves and twigs into their mouth. And so to avoid being burnt by the sun, it is that darker color. So this was just a little stop on our way. We are going to continue going to see if we can get another look at those elephants. It looked like they were about to start dust bathing or maybe drinking. So I'm going to send you across once again to Andrew, who's got some weavers.
Thanks, Grant. So, it looks like I can't get out of this place. It looks like every time, we spot new things. Looking at these, it's called Musket Weaver, where it's very interesting weavers where they actually, males build a nest. As you can see, whole colony bird, but you see there's a lot of different nest. So what does, the male would go search for grasses and they bring it back, and then That way they're doing their, looks like they're displaying their wing. That's how they actually manage to balance and do that. So as a male. But the female though is just stationary. Sometimes they're in an expect where they would come in once the nest is done. And what the female does, if she likes the nest, then of course they will use that nest. But if she don't like it, and then it means that it will be abandoned. And then he has to, as a male, build another nest again. If the second one, she don't like it, the third nest will be built. That's why sometimes you finally see a lot of the nests are not complete, or some of them are complete, but they've never been used because of that reason. And it's so cool, you know. They always make sure every time they build this nest, it looks like another type. The black one, I think, if it's not a... Chris, I think I had your name well, though. So what it does, even though the nest is actually pointing down, you want to know how do they actually manage to get in. So they actually fly, they shoot into hole. You know, they make sure they're in maximum of the speed, and then to aim into that hole. So they fold their wings, and then, you know, as their legs would be managed to hold on as they get in there. So some of them, they will shoot into holes if it's not actually, you know, bottom point hole. If it's a side hole, they would just gonna shoot into that, land inside. But this one, they have to actually do that. They have to snitch underneath of the entrance, but their wing is pretty much folded up when they do it. Looks like what I'm seeing there, the black one, looks like it's another actually very interesting here. You got two different species of weaver. The black one trying to probably fight, or looks like I think so, because they're all full growing there with a red beak, all full develop as a buffalo weaver. And when we look past these hanging nests, you'll see this black bird. They're also on their nest there as well. So those one, they also build such a massive nest, but they use twigs, not the grasses. They use all these wood, twigs, thorns, material to build this colony. And it's going to be a lot of entrance for those. Are quite easy to identify, where they have red legs, and a red beak as well, blackish with a little bit of a white pattern on them. But you won't mistaken, every time they build a nest, if it's a high up in a tree, it's always position of a northwest. So reason for that, it's for a wind, depending area. Here where they are, when we receive the very strong wind, either from the south to the north. So for that wind to sustain, not to fall off, it's got to be on the northern side, the northern western side of the tree. So there's no wind that can disturb that. So, but you know, buffalo weaver nests, they have also quite a few nests around. Some of the nests they will use, some of the nests they're just going to move off, move somewhere else. So just let's take a moment of a silence here, listen to all of this beautiful sound in this dam. So, George, you want to know the breeding season for this bird? So, it doesn't, last long. So they breed from anything, well, this month, they should actually build a nest, because anything from January, February, that's when the nest's got to be done. And they would actually, lie each maybe of 3 or 2 eggs in. So it should take anything from about maybe 20 days or 28 days, somewhere around there. And then the chicks will actually able to hatch from their nest. And before they merge or move out of the nest, they still need a lot of support from their parents. Bring food, but both partners, male and female, they'll take care of those once they are all chicks available. But when they come out of the nest, they are an experienced bird when they just gonna flew into any danger, so they're well taken care that they don't go anywhere far from their parents, because they don't recognize the danger, especially bird. Any birds can be an owl before they get up close, big enough to identify the danger. They don't really recognize the danger, or any test of death almost. So right, so I'm actually going to move now. So I'm going to be sending you over JP with his insect.
We just were looking at an elegant grasshopper here, and it suddenly disappeared, but we found something else, which looks like a little ladybug or beetle that's hiding underneath the plants over here. We're not quite sure what it is, but we were anyway going to tell you about the elegant grasshopper, but he's now disappeared. Let's see what else we can find, if we can find him again. Such a beautifully colored grasshopper. Oh, here he is. He's just on this side. Can you get him? Oh, grasshopper is just hiding at the base. It's a beautiful greenish and yellow coloration to him. So these are all warning colors that tell us that he's actually quite unpalatable. And it's also a warning color for birds and other little predators that might want to eat him, to warn them that they should not venture in having him as a meal, as he's incredibly distasteful. Here we go, he's just hopped over here. Here he goes. So quite often we forget about how important these smaller components of the ecosystem is. Things like insects and their role that they play within our system. There we go. We're just following our little grasshopper. He's just moving off. At this stage, he still doesn't have wings. And within a few weeks, he's going to develop wings and he'll be able to fly. So one of the grasshoppers that I would like to tell you about, which we do find in the Kalahari, is a brown locust. And as mentioned earlier, these brown locusts is often eaten by people and mixed with fruits from the velvet raisin. So what we also find with these brown locusts is that they also play a very important role in the recycling of nutrients and minerals. So in some years, they might form swarms of millions. And what they will do is they'll basically feed on the plants, strip everything bare, and at the same time, they'll find that they will leave a large amount of feces, what we refer to as frass, at the base of these plants. And when the rain comes, these nutrients are then washed back into the soil and reabsorbed by the plant and used again. Quite often people would also unfortunately poison these large amounts of locust in the hope that they would not return. However, what happened in the past was that many birds of prey species became poisoned. What happened after that was an even larger outbreak of locust. Farmers again wanted to try and poison them, They actually were warned and told that they should not do so. And one of the strategies that they actually suggested is to harvest these locusts and then feed them as fodder to their cattle. Seems if we've lost him. Oh, there we go. Mabel Pie, you're absolutely right. They absolutely have stunning little colours on them. And some of the most beautiful things out here in terms of colours seems to always be the most toxic of insects as well, where those that are dull in colour are those that are actually non-toxic. One of my favourite locusts that we do find in the area is a large grey locust, which is referred to as a rain locust. Quite often in this area they're also referred to as a gijs, which is a local name for them. It's believed that these locusts will predict rain, and quite often in the late afternoon, unlike most other locust species which calls in the day, they will start calling. And the way that they actually produce a sound is by stridulating their hind legs against their wings to produce a call. With the rain locusts, it's only the males that do so, and the purpose for that is to attract a mate.
And we found another little group of animals on our way to those elephants, and with some youngsters in the group. There's a little zebra foal just behind that one that's in the frame at the moment, and there's also an oxpecker on the back of one of the zebras. And then off to the back of the zebras there's also a herd of wildebeest, and the wildebeest have some youngsters as well. It seems like this mother zebra doesn't want us to see her baby anymore. And we've also, a rhino has just joined us here. Rhino and a giraffe. There's a big bull, big rhino bull. He's going to walk past the giraffe. And he looks like he's covered in mud. Probably been at one of those mud wallows we were mentioning earlier. He's not coming out the other side. So there are lots and lots of different grazing and browsing species in this area at the moment. It's really, really nice. Almost every couple hundred meters we're coming across more animals. Let's give it a little bit of time and see if that rhino comes out the other side.
Great, beautiful. So in this dam here on a far edge, it happened. It was also a hippo that, as we turn around, we actually heard a noise, but it was no visual because this dam, Musket Dam, has got a curve around. So on the other, probably inlet, you cannot see from the dam wall. That where we're standing was in a dam wall. It looks like it's a couple of hippos here. So we know for sure we're hippos out here. They would spend a lot of time in the water during the day. So only at night where they may come out, and during the day they can as well, if it's quietly. Nothing would disturb them. They would politely come out, graze around, but near the water for emergency anything. Because during the day they use water also to defend or run into water if they get attacked. One of these young ones, especially in this waterhole, I've seen 2 of a young one here. So these can be more vulnerable to pride of lions. But not only lions, if they play very difficult in elephants, because elephants are way too big, or they're left alone, packs of hyena would kill them, these young ones. So it's for the parents to take care of them. And my hippo can actually hold their breath for about 6, probably up to 8 minutes, their breath under the water. And when they do that, they have very interesting nostrils, which is, these nostrils, they actually shut temporarily when they're submerged, and they only, open them when they come out to breathe again. And that's why when you listen to them when they take a breath just after they submerge, looks like it's in a bubbly bottles opening there. It's kind of like pop sounds, it's sounding like in there. This is where the air pushes so much. So, okay, I'm going to move finally. I'm not sure, I might stop again, but let me take you to the Rhino.
There we go. Beautiful, big white rhino bull. Just peacefully grazing along. If you look at his body, he's absolutely covered from head to toe in mud. You can hear the churs of oxpeckers. They're going to land on that rhino now. Those are red-billed oxpeckers. Yeah. Just another car going past us at the back, yeah? Oh, and I can see our first elephant from slightly closer. Owen, do you see him over there? Yeah, same one. Look at the oxpecker with its beak open. Barbara's asking what the difference is between black and white rhino. So there's a few things from here that we can use to identify this as a white rhino and compare it to a black rhino. So first of all, if you look at the size and the shape, it's a very big, round shape. The black rhino is a lot more streamlined. It doesn't have that very round bulge around the middle, with sort of like going narrower towards the feet. And then if you look at the ears of this white rhino, if we get a chance, there we go. You see they're quite elongated and like slightly long, have a long elongated shape to them. That's the white rhino's ears. The black rhino's ears are very, very round, almost like saucepan, like Mickey Mouse kind of like ears. And then it's quite difficult to tell or to see and to point out from here, but you see next to where the oxpeckers are, there's a little bump on the back of this rhino. So black rhinos don't have that bump. They have the big hump around their shoulders, and then their back goes into a deep saddle, similar to that of a horse. and then they just have a sort of like a ridge above their hind legs. Another thing that gives away the fact that this is a white rhino is the fact that its head is down towards the ground, and so he's feeding only on grass at the moment. He might pick up the odd little new shoot of a shrub, but mostly going for grass. And from this white rhino grazing, I'm going to send you across to Mike, who's got an elephant grazing.
Well, we've certainly got elephants, and there's 3 of them not so far from us. There's this one female that's feeding right in front of us. We just left in Tswalu Dam. We did see one elephant, but it disappeared before we could film it. So we heard that there were others in the area. We came to look. We found this very small group that looks like they've been at water earlier today, or at least a mud wallow, because this one's actually covered in mud. And this is not a female. Now I correct myself. This is actually a young male. I was spending so long looking at the calf and the mother that's off to the left of us, and I just lost myself a minute there. This is a young male. When they're younger, they're not so easy to tell apart. I was looking at the forehead and it looked quite angular, but then I turned slightly and I could see his penile sheath hanging down there. So this is a female with her young calf, and you notice that one calf has got no tail, which is quite interesting. I've seen this youngster before quite a few times. I wonder what happened to its tail, if it got maybe bitten or attacked by a predator when it was younger. Could have been bitten by something like a snake, maybe even. These things happen quite frequently. I'm not sure exactly what happened. This is not the only elephant which doesn't have a tail. There's another large elephant with no tail that's in the area that we've seen quite a few times. It's quite a large bull. In fact, last time I saw that bull, it was being chased off by Kumo, in fact, I think. These ones just peacefully feeding here. Now, there must be other elephants in the area as well. It's very unusual to find just 3 elephants. I'm not sure I quite understood that question. Maybe if you could repeat that question to me so that I could try and answer it better. That would be grand. Something about the size, maybe? Oh, my head is in the way. I think we've lost our elephants. They're moving off into the distance. Now, the diet of an elephant is quite varied, and they're very specific about what they eat. They will select whatever they think that they need the most. For example, right now they're eating mostly the grass because it's the most nutritious. It's growing quickly and thick and soft, so it's great for their teeth and good nutrition. Now, at other times of the year, we see them digging up roots and bulbs from all sorts of different plants. They eat sometimes the under layer of bark, that's called cambium, and all sorts of different things. But mostly it's vegetation, mostly it's grass at this time of year, and leaves and bark and twigs in the winter. Bye-bye, Mr. Elephant. This young male is moving off towards those clearings where we had the bullfrogs a couple of days ago. The other mother and calf have moved down towards Tswalu Dam, but they're going very slowly. I think it'll take them a long time to get there. But you can see this elephant as it walks just grabbing clumps of grass. It's basically all that they're eating this time of year. We saw a large elephant bull pushing and breaking a marula tree and eating it yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. But that's unusual. At this time of year, they're not really going to be going for too many leaves. The grass is just so thick and so full of nutrients. Every time it rains, all the nutrients leach out of the soils, and then it means that the grass take them up really quickly because the grass goes super fast, and so it's filled with the nutrients that they need. I mean, if you look around here, you can see everywhere around us it's just thick with grass. I mean, 4 months ago, this area here was almost barren. I mean, we're right next to what's a sodic site that's got quite a lot of erosion. Remember, this is old farmland, so this was an area that was overgrazed by cattle. And over time, it's recovering, and you can see now it's thick with vegetation. But if next year we have a super dry season again, you'll find that all this grass will die right back down, and we'll have almost no vegetation cover here. It's a slow process when areas get rehabilitated from farmland. Pinder, for example, is a great, Pinder is a great example of it. When it was beginning, I think it was mostly pineapple farms. And now it's a wonderful game reserve, as you guys have all seen. And here at Pridelands, it was a little bit of cattle farming, amongst other things as well. Some small-scale vegetable farming as well. As you can see, it's turning into quite a lovely, well-rounded and varied game reserve with lots of different vegetation types, which supports a huge abundance of animals, as you've seen. Lots of elephants, lots of impalas, plenty of hyenas, of course, which means that there are other predators as well, like leopards, and an abundance of birds. Well, whilst we go off in search of other things, let's send you over to Lauren.
Now, it may not be initially riveting to look at a mound, but I know that this mound, Marcel's going to give you a wider view, means something to some of you. This is the Mvubu hyena den. And it's not been used in a very long time, at least during my time here. But Marcel's now going to zoom into something quite interesting. One of the entrances has been freshly dug. Look at that. Not by a human. Who is responsible for that? That is the question, but something is living in this mound. It's very, very freshly dug. Not entirely sure it'd be a hyena, though. The reason I'm here, unfortunately, the dogs crossed into Manguleti, so we had to leave Buffelshoek, and trying to just look for tracks. I've got my binos out. It could be an aardvark. We do get them here. Could be a porcupine. Could be a hyena. I don't see any hyena tracks, though. And Ntima's definitely... I'm convinced she's lactating. I don't know if it's confirmation bias, as James Hendry always says. You wish something so much, you sort of wish it into your own existence. But she's definitely pregnant or given birth, so I think it's worth checking the dens. And this is in Vubu. And it has a lot of history, this termite mound. It's very large, it's beautiful. It's very green, and something is in there. If it's a nocturnal creature, then we're not going to see it. If it's very, very young hyena cubs, we're also not going to see them. It's still quite hot. And therefore, any mother would probably not be at the den right now, but you never know. So we've came all the way here to check. It's a bit tedious, to be honest with you, checking all the dens, because they're all so far apart. But it's worth it. If we can close in on the Ntima mystery, then it'll be worth it. So I'm going to bumble on and check my next hyena den, and you guys are going to bumble down to Tswalu.
Welcome back to Tswalu. We're still looking at the small things out here. It's 36 degrees Celsius, and other than the two of us, nothing else is moving. So a few moments ago, Dave and I was discussing about how much he would like to see a little insect that's called a velvet mite. So as we were driving, we saw these small little red things at the base of a tree. I stopped to have a look because I thought I was going to show him a velvet mite. Unfortunately, it's not, and we found that there were small little pieces of red fruit that was dropped on the ground, and this is from a balsam pear. So what we noticed is that there's a number of different fruit chafer species that are busy feeding on these balsam pears. So quite often, beetles are incorrectly called bugs, and when we do look at species of beetles, they actually have chewing mouthparts compared to bugs, which has actually got sucking mouthparts. So one of the interesting things is that there's a number of different chafer species, most of them active in day. However, one of the chafer species that we do find in the area, which is active at night, is actually known as a woolly chafer. These are often eaten by the meerkats, which we do find. The fascinating thing about these woolly chafers is that they've got a high amount of woolly hairs that are surrounding their head. And this is a very deliberate.
Welcome back to And Beyond Pinda. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We've managed to find 2 different elephant bulls on our way to where we had the long distance view of that one crossing the grassland. We've come across another 2. There's only one in view at the moment. Other one has just gone behind some bushes, and then in the distance on the hill on the other side there's 2 buffalo bulls as well. Looks as though these elephants have already been in some mud. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just move us forward a little bit, because then we will be able to see both of the elephants. It is still very, very hot. And these elephants look as though they've also been to the mud, just like that rhino. And we've actually got an elephant coming behind us as well. Owen just gave me these big eyes from behind the camera, and he went like that. Trying to show me that there's an elephant coming behind us. And he's coming to join these 2. Really amazing the diversity at the moment in this area. There's just lots of animals everywhere. Oh, Lazy Boy is asking how heavy are an elephant's tusks. So it all depends on the size of the tusks, so they don't have a set weight. But the biggest set of tusks that I think were ever recorded was somewhere around 150 kilograms. That was one tusk. So you can imagine that's a huge amount of weight to be carrying on your head. And then if you think about other ones that have got much smaller tusks, most elephants in the region of about 20-30 kilograms. So that ivory is quite thick and solid, and it weighs quite a bit. Here's that 3rd elephant joining us. Well, joining us. And he's definitely showing us who's boss here. He made us move out the way, and he's just stamping his authority. So we're going.
Welcome back to Tswalu. We just managed to get our screen up and going again, and we focused on these. Welcome back at Tswalu. We just located again on a number of these fruit chafers still eating on these balsam pears just on the opposite side of a tree. So before we left, we were just busy telling about a wide range of different species of beetles that occur in the region. It's believed that there's approximately some 370,000 species of beetles worldwide, and at any given moment their total biomass outweighs all other forms of life on the planet. In the Southern African region, there's approximately 18,000 known species, and we find that they eat anything from plant material. Some species are predators, while others are omnivores, for example dung beetles that will feed off on dead plant material. One of the interesting chafers that we do find in this region is a beetle that actually has a woolly amount of hair around the head. Quite often, this is a typical characteristic of night-flying beetles, which can potentially get caught by species such as bats. And bats will often release clicks of sound which will bounce off these insects and then come back to them. They can accurately pinpoint and catch them in mid-air. However, the large amount of hairs that's around the head actually messes up the sonar of these bats. One of my favorite species of beetle that we find in this area is actually known as a ground beetle, and it's known as a two-spot ground beetle. This specific beetle has quite a large amount of toxins that it can spray as a chemical defense if it's harassed by small mammals and even humans, and it can temporarily blind a small predator. So one of the fascinating things about this specific beetle is that there's a small lizard that's known as a bushveld lizard. When these young lizards are small, they actually imitate the coloration of the different ground beetles so that they are left alone. Quite often we also find a number of brightly coloured patterns with a number of the beetle species, which would suggest that they are not tasteful at all, which is most likely the case with these fruit chafers. I can remember from our childhood, we used to play with these, quite often tying them to a short little piece of string. One day we decided to play a prank on one of my uncles while he was sleeping underneath a tree, and we actually dripped it into his mouth while he was snoring, and he bit into it. It was an absolutely distasteful taste. Soon after we learned that most beetles that are with bright colours are actually distasteful or toxic. You can probably believe what amount of trouble we were in afterwards.
How insane is that animal?
This is out of this world. Fantastic. Good, Mama.
Wow, what a way to start off.
Just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill.
The croc's holding the tail. It's holding tight. Lucky wildebeest.
There's nowhere to go. This is a disaster in the making.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Look at this. It's gonna make it. It's going, it's going.
This is just too magical. Hi, little guys. That's great, isn't it? Look at that. Scuba Steve has got a friend.
You've got a friend in me.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Oh my goodness, we've got a turtle.
How epic is the fact that we're coming to you live from the Joca River?
It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live and we're in Rwanda. This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
I did not think I would ever face my fears like this.
So we're still with our 3 elephants here, and they are just slowly moving down the hill. I'm not sure what their plan is, but they're going down into quite a nice valley. You might notice some fever trees down there, the ones with the yellow bark. There might be some more water down there, although they have definitely visited water this afternoon already. So their priority at the moment is to feed. They've got lots of eating to do in the duration of a day. And you're seeing them picking up lots of grass, but every now and then if they find a shrub that they like, they will grab a trunk full of leaves and feed on that bush for a little bit. But very focused on feeding now. The one that came up behind us, he didn't even stop to look at us. He just walked straight past us to catch up with his buddies. And now we see them as they're moving and feeding, they'll walk quite quickly and then they'll find something that they like and then they'll stop and feed a little bit and then they'll walk again and repeat that process over and over. Down in that valley that they're heading into will be some really nice lush vegetation. Very soft and juicy grass, and there will be some water down there as well with the rains we've had recently. So, they are just slowly feeding, and there's not too much happening here. So, I'm going to send you across to Mike, who's with a lion at the moment.
Well, we are very lucky. Look who is still sticking around near the carcass that he managed to acquire, I think 2 days ago. It's our young male lion. What a gorgeous young boy it is, sitting in the shade of this rather shrubby tambuti tree. I know we can't really get a better view than this. It's a little bit of a shy lion, so I don't want to move around him too much in case he does get a bit nervous and decide to move away from us. But it's awesome. We're very close to him right now, maybe just 10 meters away, 15 meters, and he's watching us every now and again, but mostly just trying to keep cool. You can see he's got a very dark mane on the front there, which means that he's probably going to have a very dark mane as he gets older, which is super fantastic. Hopefully that means that he's going to be very attractive to the ladies and sire many offspring. Oh, look how he's panting heavily. It's an extremely hot and humid day, and lions can't even sweat like we can when we're hot. So that's the only way it can cool down is to pant like that, to allow evaporative cooling. Breathe out the hot, moist air. Wind evaporates the moisture on its tongue, and it cools down slowly. Hi, Matthew. That is a good question, because lions and leopards are both amazingly powerful big cats, and they do fight sometimes, but I wouldn't really call it a fight. It's more like being bullied. A leopard is, although very powerful, it's much smaller than a lion, maybe only 1/3 of the size of this big male lion. So when this lion gets to its full age, it might weigh somewhere around about 150 to 180 kilograms, which is massive. A leopard is only really going to weigh at its absolute most about 90. So that's half, or sometimes even less than half, of this male lion. So when they do fight, leopards would usually run away or be killed. Unfortunately, it's very, very rare for a leopard to try and fight a lion unless it's absolutely cornered. And it's no easy fight, I tell you that. I mean, I think pound for pound, kilo for kilo, a leopard is probably even more powerful than a lion. I was very fortunate once to work with a vet, and when he put the needle in the arm of the leopard to sedate it, or rather to give it the reversal, to wake it up after changing its collar, he said it was like pushing the needle into a piece of wood. That's how dense and powerful the arms are. Oh, there's a helicopter that's going to fly over just now. You saw the lion looking over there. It looks like it's one of the game counting helicopters. They might be doing a census in the area. So you might see the lion look up. Oh, it looks relatively calm, actually. Interesting, he was quite nervous yesterday when we tried to get into the sighting, move into the area where he had the carcass. He sort of slunked away from us a little bit. Today he seems very calm. Maybe it's just because it's so hot today that he just doesn't have the energy to move. I think this lion is maybe somewhere between 3 and 4 years old. Well, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to watch this lion for the rest of the afternoon, I think. In the meantime, we're going to send you over to Lauren with the lizard.
This lizard is exactly how I feel. Look at it. This is a water monitor lizard, and I stand to be corrected. I've been calling the rock monitor lizards the largest, and that's not technically correct. I apologize. It's the water monitor, which also goes by the name the Nile monitor, depending on which sort of name you want to use. They're the longest. They can reach lengths up to 220 centimeters. Now, the rock monitor is shorter, which is lengths of about 150 centimeters, but it's heavier bodied. So it's not as long, but it's heavier in body mass and much heavier bodied. So technically, going by length, the water stroke Nile monitor that we have in front of us is the largest in South Africa. All monitor lizards that we get here are oviparous. They lay their eggs. They dig, just like crocodiles do, tortoises do. They dig into the moist soil and lay their eggs. But there's different terminology when it comes to reproduction. So you have oviparous, and what that means is animals that lay eggs. So let's just say your monitor lizard or your birds. Then you have viviparous. Now, viviparous refers to animals that give birth to live young. Exactly what we do. We are viviparous. Humans, cats, dogs, elephants, etc. Then you get ovoviviparous. And this is where animals do produce eggs, but instead of laying the eggs develop inside the mother's body. So there's different terminology that you can use to describe different reproductive techniques in the animal kingdom. But these monitor lizards, they are the ones that do, they are oviparous. They do lay eggs in the moist soil. This one's not that big, though. It's particularly small and not doing very much. Again, not an entirely riveting sighting, but there you go. Vivian, no. If I was to get out of my vehicle right now, which of course I'm not going to do, it would skedaddle. It would, I don't know, is skedaddle a Scottish word, Marcel?
We use it in Afrikaans as well.
Oh, okay, good. I was just panicking there, thinking I've just used a word completely out of context and no one will understand. So it was skedaddle and hide. They won't attack humans, but they have got very, very sharp claws, which give them traction to pull them up on trees and on land. And they've got incredibly powerful tails, very thick, muscular, powerful tails that they can store fat in and whip from side to side. And maybe not for humans, but for any sort of predator that's approaching from behind, they can get a nasty whip to the face. And that's not going to be pleasant. They also have quite a bite. So they are equipped with their own way at defending themselves. But right now it looks very placid. It's obviously warming up in the sun. Enjoying the very sticky heat that we have today. Okay, so we're going to bump along and see what else we can find for you. That's hopefully a little bit more active, but we're going to send you to some buffalo who are also chilling.
We found another nice big herd of animals here. We've got a big herd of buffaloes. And it seems as though all the animals are coming out from the shade and from the mud wallows. Like we were mentioning earlier, down in the valleys. They've been wallowing in the mud and drinking from the little pans. And now they're coming up out into the open grassland to feed. What's also happening all around us, you might see the little swallows flying around. And there is an alate eruption happening in this area, and so all the swallows are flying around catching little flying ants. It's a really pretty and peaceful scene at the moment. These buffaloes are just grazing. We're watching the swallows catching alates. These are barn swallows. For those of you that are interested in the birds. Sahib's asking approximately how much do the buffaloes weigh, and so there is a little bit of a difference between the bulls and the cows. A very, very big bull up around 900 kilograms. Some of the really, really big ones even close to a ton, and the females around about 700 to 800 kilograms. And a baby or a young buffalo, when it's born, is about 30 kilograms. So they are pretty heavy, hefty animals, and they are rather dangerous, especially for us, for people when we're walking in the bush. We have to be very careful of buffaloes. They are very willing to defend themselves as opposed to run away. Most of the other animals, when we encounter them on foot in the bush, they run away. But buffaloes, because they're quite a close group, they will stand their ground. They will try to protect themselves, and they will definitely protect one another. And because of that reason, they've got quite a lot of confidence in themselves and confidence in one another. And they've also been known to actively try to kill predators, which would be threats to them and their youngsters. More especially young predators, so young lions, young leopards, even cheetahs sometimes. If they when they're feeding, they move through an area where maybe there's a den site. If they start to smell the predator, they will actually go and look for it. And if they find it, they will try to kill it using the horns and also using their hooves and their feet. So just using their weight to actually crush their victim, I guess you could call it. Zambeli buffaloes, the most common disease that buffaloes are prone to or vulnerable to is TB. They can contract TB from the water that basically flows from where maybe cattle or any other animal that's been drinking the water might flow down, and the buffaloes can drink that same water, and then they're able to get that, get the TB from the water. And they can also get foot and mouth disease. I'm sure there are other ones that they're susceptible to, but TB is the most prominent one that we look out for, because it can affect a whole herd. They will pass it on to one another quite quickly. They are mostly able to survive it, and they'll get a little bit sick, but they are quite tough and resilient to it. But it is possible for them to die from it. A beautiful scene here. I'm just enjoying the quiet, and there's a grunt every now and then coming from the buffaloes, but mostly they're just feeding. They are slowly starting to move down the hill, and as it starts to get later on into the evening, they're going to find a spot where they will be protected from the elements. Tonight the wind might blow, so they'll make sure that they find a place where they are sheltered from the wind and quite close to water, so that, the last thing that they will actually do today is probably drink some water and then settle down a little bit for the evening, and then in the early hours of tomorrow morning they will probably they'll get up and start moving again and start feeding in the direction of some more water. They will have a drink, carry on grazing, and then once again find a place to rest for the heat of the day. So we're going to leave these buffaloes to do that, and I'm going to send you across to Mike with a very hot lion.
You can see very, very hot. Look at the saliva dripping out the mouth of this young lion, how it's desperately trying to pant some of this internal body heat out. Now it's still sitting in the same place, but it's moved slightly further out, so we've got a slightly better look at this gorgeous young male lion. So you can see now that little mohawk of hair on the top there. This tells me this lion is probably close to 4 years old, between 3 and 4. Maybe closer to 4. The mohawk is now joining with the rest of the mane and is soon going to have a full mane, I'm sure, in the next year or two. He's definitely very strong. Oh, there's something approaching, maybe. Every now and again he gets alert. He's a young male lion, so he can definitely be dominated by a large group of hyenas, of which there are many on this reserve, so he does have to be quite wary. And also any larger male lions could also chase it off. We talked about before, although there are lots of leopards here, there's almost no chance a leopard will try and move in here and take any of the carcass that this lion has. It's far too powerful for that. I mean, look at the size of its paws. This lion's head is probably the size of my whole chest, and the paw is maybe the size of my whole face. And one swipe of those powerful paws will easily knock my head right off its shoulders. And although they look very fluffy right now, hidden in a special sheath are very, very long claws, which will use to great effect to pull down prey and defend itself. And what it caught was a warthog. Now, we didn't see much of what was left of the carcass, and in fact I can't even see the carcass right now, but apparently it is still around here. A warthog is a very formidable prey, It's got weapons of its own which it can defend itself in the form of very long tusks and very short, sharp tushes on the bottom jaw, which, if this lion was not careful, could have sliced him up pretty bad. But being a nice, strong lion, he was probably able to overpower the warthog before it got a chance to use its weapons. Something you won't often see with something like a leopard, and a cheetah wouldn't even try, for the most part, to catch a warthog. And even though it's a young lion, you can see its ears are already a little bit torn up. So he's seen some action in his time. It might just be from ticks and other parasites. But we're going to stay. As it cools down, he might start to get a bit more active.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ngala. But look what we have. This lioness is carrying another little cub across the river to a new den site. Oh, this is so cool. The newest Birmingham Pride edition. Actually, this is the second one she's carried across. She's going to come right past the vehicle. So we're just going to sit still for a while. That is so tiny. Wow. It's unreal. I'm actually shaking. How cool. So we've got the entire Birmingham Pride behind us. So I don't want to reverse for now. I just want to see where she's going. I'm literally shaking of excitement because we've now got 2 new Birmingham Pride cubs, and the sister is actually still lying in front of the other den site, which makes me think there might be another cub in there. So the sister's going to stay there and guard the other cubs while this one carries this cub across. Okay, now I'm going to turn around. Let me just breathe for a little while. Yes, that is insane. So it looks like it's one of the older lionesses. We knew she was pregnant and we thought she had given birth, but after they've eaten an entire wildebeest, it's hard to tell whether she's still pregnant or she's just got an entire wildebeest in her tummy. So it turns out she did give birth. I would say the cub's probably a week and a half old, tiny. Sad because we've watched this. I actually just want to be a nice guy to all the other rangers on and beyond Ngala, and we'll end up having to leave the Pride after this and try bring Freddie or another ranger in here who's after us. So like I said earlier, I'm Rowan, you're on and beyond Ngala, behind the camera is BK, and it's just smiles all around. BK's just been grinning the whole time. What an awesome afternoon. So yeah, very cool. We've got the one older lioness, the Birmingham young male. It's like literally everyone is just watching this lioness move her cub. And you can see the rest of the... So yeah, that's the Birmingham young male. He's watching her in the distance. The rest of the Pride right in front of her, just watching her move the newest edition. Absolutely insane. As an afternoon goes, I don't think we can ask for better. How's that for a sight? Just gonna quickly stop here. And she'll just carry her cub straight through the entire Pride. Wow. 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 Let's go for it again. What makes this even better, it's about 800 meters west of Tented Camp. Anna, I think you said this is so cute. Anna, as you can hopefully read from my excitement, this is unbelievable. And that cub is tiny. See how the other youngster reacts to it. She doesn't want to show it. She doesn't want to be... she doesn't really want the other youngsters to come close to it or even to sniff it. Sorry, you'll hear my shutter of my camera every now and then. I'm still shaking. Wow. And, you know, it is absolutely amazing just how gently she can carry it in her mouth. So of course, even at this age, I couldn't tell whether it was a male or female. There she goes, up onto the northern bank, and she'll stash it in some thicket, maybe where there's some buffalo thorn or, some very thorny spike thorn thicket where nothing else will actually venture in. But what an incredible day. I mean, having the protection of the entire pride here with her. You couldn't ask for safer passage through a riverbed. That is just unreal. Very, very, very cool. We're going to try a turn around again, and then we'll just show the pride, and then sadly I'll have to make space for Fred to come in here, just in case she does go across the river again, bring another little lion, then at least, Fred and them can see, sharing the excitement with us. I'm just going to turn around up ahead. So, of course, we don't want to make too many vehicle tracks here where her den is, mostly because of hyenas. Hyenas get very curious. If they see a lot of vehicle tracks, they'll actually go into that area and see what's going on here. They'll sniff around, and I can tell you now they'll be able to sniff baby lion or lion cub out of it. So we actually going quite far, we turn around, and then we head back that way, not drawing too much attention to such a vulnerable area, or sensitive area rather. It's amazing she's denning here, because the young Birmingham lioness, she was hiding her youngsters here for quite some time as well. Okay, so let's just head back there quickly. I didn't get it. Olivia, sorry. I agree with you 100%. What an exciting, what an exquisite afternoon. I really have no other word to say it. You can see still the whole pride looking in this direction, waiting for this mother to come again. So we don't really know how far up the northern bank she made the den, and I can promise you now, no one's going to venture in there, no one's going to walk in there, because you don't want to put pressure on her, and of course we're all about self-preservation. This little white lioness, she's curious, she wants to go find out where the den is. She's venturing up there, of course. It's funny, even watching the young Birmingham lioness and her two cubs, when they were growing up, this was the one that was most curious about the cubs. But what an incredible scene, just having all these lions spread out in the river. So I'm going to be on the radio just quickly. I want to see where Fred is. Fred, what's your position? What's your position? I actually see quite a few of them coming to the northern bank now. Okay, copy. I'll make your way straight, yeah. Just come, Trevor's Hole, make your way straight. Oh, a bit of a paw in the face there. It's actually really getting very, very hot now. So I've invited Fred to come into this area, and I think because we know the den is here now, we only allow one vehicle, and we can't go off this track that is in front of us. So once he gets here, we'll leave. But what an amazing thing to show. Wow.
We're having the most this wonderful moment with the dragonfly. Just wait, it'll come back. The dragonfly is a reddish one. There we go, in the foreground. But in the background to the right is a damselfly. The two of them, you can see the difference. Look, you can see how different they are. Wow. They always come back to the same place. I'm not sure why, perching on all 6 legs. Now, there was a nice article that compared dragonflies to lions. And although lions are incredible hunters, the sort of overall generalized figure is that they only really catch their prey 1 in every 4 times. And that's general. It'll be different in different areas. And even the great white shark fails in half of all its attempts to hunt, whereas the dragonfly is said to be a lethal hunter. More than 95% of its attempts are so successful. And one of the reasons for this is that they have an extraordinary command of the skies. Because they have 4 wings, 2 forewings, a different spelling of 4, 2 forewings and 2 hind wings, in total 4. And each wing can move independently. Now, this is quite unusual for the insect world. Normally 2 sets will move at the same time. And each wing is powered by several sets of muscles. And they can adjust their frequency and direction. So basically, dragonflies, like this one here, can fly backwards, fly forwards, and hover, motionless, completely hover in the air, and fly at speeds close to 50 kilometers per hour. Now that's remarkable. They can maneuver in any which way in the sky. It's said that some armies, the US Army, use dragonflies as models, especially when designing specific types of drones, because of their excellent command of the skies. And it's not just that, it's also their vision. They have incredible eyesight. They don't have single eyes, they have... Oh, has it disappeared for good this time, Marcello? Marcel said it's going to come back. So it's going to come back. They have compound eyes. So their eyes are made up of about sort of 30,000 lenses, and they can see in ultraviolet light as well as polarized light and also colors. Because the eyes are shaped like balls, rounded balls, they can actually see what's happening almost in 360 degrees. So they're beautiful to us, but you imagine being a little mosquito or a little gnat. They would be terrifying, this huge predator swooping out of the sky to come and get you with remarkable accuracy. Such incredible insects, look at them. And it's so nice it is really next to this damselfly, so you can see the 2 of them together. It's also got quite a specialized brain. So when us as humans see like a rapid sequence of images, shall we say, when we see a lot of images together, our brain will sort of see it in a flowing motion, if you like. And a dragonfly can actually see up to 300 separate images per second and interpret them at that moment, every single one of them. 300 separate images per second and interpret all of them. Isn't that just incredible? Now, I'm going to sit here just a tad longer because the weavers are just far too spectacular.
So we focus now on the grumpy Rossmale. Although how can he be so grumpy? He's got 2 brand new little babies that are extremely cute. She's not come back from the northern bank yet. She's still in there with the white lioness following her, of course the curious one. And then we've got one of the older young males there, the white lion's brother. And then also in the foreground, the 2 other cubs, the ones we saw. Same thing happened. The mother carried them across the riverbed a few months ago. But wow, I'm finally able to breathe again. I've calmed down a little bit. The older lioness is still way off in the distance, still lying down in front of the den site, which that just makes me believe there is another cub there, and she'll rather stay there to protect it, because she's the other one's sister. So just absolutely amazing. I've never ever seen another lion do it, only that old lioness. It's the white dot female. She used to do it for the young male and his sister when they were denning as well. Did exactly the same. Oh, actually no, for the white lions as well. I remember the one day she actually hunted successfully, took down a young giraffe right in front of the den site. So no, phenomenal pride. This actually very, very, very exciting stuff that we've seen developed this year. Beautiful blue sky. It's actually been cloudy for majority of the afternoon, which is quite nice. Luckily for us, otherwise it'd just be so, so hot.
Sorry about that. Well, here we got looks like a small breeding herd of elephants. We just bump on them here feeding. And they're feeding very quietly. They don't actually make sound, which is very interesting about them at this time of the day. And there's going to be another vehicle responding from the other side, but it's good that we have a sight of them still. That young male that was just right close to us, which was playing very, trick a little bit, like charge car, but, eventually understand that we're not here to harm them. They're looking at his age, probably around 3.5 years old, somewhere there, and that brings him so much of a energy. They would do anything they want in the group, where when they group together, they charge one another, push one another as a young one, and while their parents feeding. So this one also is one of the young male. Looks like all the temporal glands sweating there. It's probably all about the stress or the temperature when they rise. They do sweat them. Jackal. So you want to know the weight of baby elephants? I'm not sure, but probably around 80, 90 or 100 kilograms, somewhere there, I think. But I'm not entirely sure. That's my thought. And they are, remember when they baby born, is that whole herd is around the female. It's a lot of a noise. And then, she give birth, standing up, spread her back leg in that way, drop the baby. And the baby dropped immediately. 15, 20 minutes later on, the baby will be able to stand up. But in a few hours later, we'll be able to locate the mother's teeth by maybe sniffing around underneath of the front leg. That's where the teeth are. So I may make space for these guys here, and we're gonna keep on following them, see how far they go for us. Sure, we're gonna find them again, which is gotta be soon. I don't think they're gonna go too far away. So let me reposition. I'm sending you over to Mike with his spider.
So what you're looking at right now is a juvenile golden orb web spider, or one of the golden orbs. I don't know exactly which species because this is a young one, but it's very beautiful and very colorful. Now we've been sitting watching this young male lion doing a whole lot of what lions do, which is basically nothing when they're resting on hot days like today, and I started to look around, and this little golden orb web spider is right next to where I'm sitting, which I know for a lot of you would be quite uncomfortable. I don't mind them even when they're close to me, as long as they don't try and climb on me. Then you will hear me squealing all sorts of weird sounds. But this one is pretty calm. It's just waiting here quietly and patiently for some insect to fly and get caught in its very sticky web. This one is amazing. It's almost see-through, some of its appendages and its legs. It's really, really tiny. It's probably even smaller than your average household key. And it will shed many times more before it gets to its full size, and it will become quite large, almost as large as a human hand, the spread of its legs. Although quite harmless to us. They can bite. If I was to grab this spider and hold it, it would bite me. But its venom is not really toxic or potent enough to cause me too much harm, and its jaws and fangs are quite small, so it might even struggle to penetrate through our relatively thick skins. You can see the bottom of the spider, the head, or the cephalothorax is the bottom part, and the abdomen is the top part. So from the cephalothorax, goodness gracious, that's a big word, basically the head, is all the sensory organs, the mouth and the legs. The abdomen is basically just the food storage area where it keeps the energy, and that abdomen can expand and contract depending on how much food it's got in its belly. Well, a lot of things, that's a great question, by the way. A lot of things will eat these spiders. I mean, this one's quite brightly colored, but I know they're not toxic. So birds will eat them, small mammals will eat them, things like genets and civets. Many bird species will definitely eat these things. Lizards, if they can catch them, will eat them. Even bats, I know, do eat insects. I don't know if it would really pluck this one out of its web where it is, hidden in this bush here. But many things will eat them, and that's why it stays very... Oh, did you see that? Something touched its web, and it freaked out a little bit, but now it's just resetting itself. You see how it's very carefully moving its legs to grip onto... Oh, I think something's actually caught in its web. Let me just turn myself to have a look. No, I can't see anything. But, oh yes, there's a small bug that's just gotten caught in its web, and it's making its way towards it right now. It's got a very intricate web, so it's struggling to make its way there. It actually just pushed its way through its web to get onto the underside, and now it's slowly heading towards... There's the insect there that got caught, a very small aphid-like insect. And what it's doing now is it's going to remove it from the web and just eat it whole, I think. This one is too small to really need to be kept hidden and wrapped up. I'm not sure what happened. I think it just escaped. Oh, shame. So that little insect that was there, can you find it, Seb? Yes. The spider's there. Might be hidden behind a leaf for you now. Still there in the web. You can see the web moving. Just go up a little bit there, Seb. There it is. And now you zoom in. There it is. Just do a focus pull. Yeah, it's just there. So that little insect managed to escape. So as the spider got to it and tried to remove it from the web, the insect managed to fly off. So there you go. Just because it got caught in the web doesn't mean that it's a guaranteed meal. And that's why the spider is going to use as little energy as possible. But wow, look at those patterns. I've never been able to look at an orb web spider so closely. Look at that. It's incredible. Even some of you at home who are afraid of spiders or don't like them, you've got to admit this pattern is pretty spectacular. That is a very beautiful insect, or arachnid I should say. And it's using as little energy as possible. It felt something land in its web, it went to quickly grab it, managed to escape, so now it's just relaxing again. You are 100% correct. The male orb-web spiders definitely get eaten by the females. Now, interestingly, looking at this one here, now, it's very colourful. This actually might be a male. If you look at its pedipalps, the pedipalps are quite large. That's the appendages next to its fangs. So this actually could be a male. That's why it's maybe so small and so intricately coloured. But I don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. Like I said, I don't often get to look so closely to them. But the males definitely get eaten by the females, 100%. So you'll find a male will be a lot smaller, maybe 10 or 20 times smaller than the female, or even more. And they sit on the web very quietly. And when a female comes into, I don't know, the time when they need to mate, I don't know how, they probably release a pheromone, the males will approach the female often while she's eating, so that she's preoccupied, and will quickly mate with her while she's preoccupied and then try to move away. If she notices him, there's a very good chance that the spider female, the golden orb female, will eat the male. Usually only once it's mated though. She needs to get that reproductive material first. So the spider males will often, the orb-web males will often be on the opposite side of the web. You saw how difficult and slow it was for this one to get through to the other side of the web. So likewise, the females will not be able to chase the male quickly from one side of the web to the other. Very clever strategy. Now I need to quickly go onto a spider book and try and see if I can figure out if this is a male or a female. But whilst I do that, I'll send you over to Andrew, who's got an elephant grazing peacefully into the sunset.
Great, everyone. So we now have our elephants again, but it looks like they have crossed the drainage line here, heading kind of south from here, but you can still have a visual of them. And we're just gonna see if we can reposition to see if we can get a very good look at them, but they just kind of like moving. They will probably end up on probably Treehouse Dam if they do so. But it's cool. It's not actually a big herd. It's just a few of them there. Looks like a bigger one and one of those young one. As you can see how they push one another up. So they're doing their best. In the herd, a lot of playings. Like I was trying to explain later or earlier when we got them there, these young ones have a lot of energy pushing one another, especially when their herd comes static. This is what they do. They would push one another. Sometimes mother has to sort them out. Remember, every mother is in their group. They all take care of these young ones. So they cooperate in terms of taking care of the babies in the herd. And of the female that she's ready with the milk, she will let the other baby from the different mother to come and drink. So I'm going to go back to the other road. So I'm going to be taking you over, Lauren, with the ham mongoose.
The cutest. I think they're youngsters. There's some adults, but there's also some very young ones. Now, they're quite close to the car, so every movement that Marcel and I make... Hello, guys. The sun's starting to set. Is that you down for the night? Is it? They're very, very cautious of the time that they make their way back into the den. They have a network of dens. So they could use different dens each night. It's not the same one. But they'll mark them. And that's how they know, this is one of the dens in our territory. They'll defend their sleeping sites more so than their territorial boundaries. They are territorial. They won't really mark the territorial boundaries. They won't patrol. What they want to mark is their sleeping sites, like this one here. And they'll use both cheek and anal gland secretions, which is delightful. There will also be a latrine nearby. I can't see it right now, but they'll have a latrine. Horse lovers, so adorable, I know. Oh, Marcel, that's an incredible shot. Look at their sharp little claws. We've been sitting here sometime, just, they get skittish, but then they do come out once they realise that you're not causing any harm. So a latrine is a communal toilet. So somewhere around the sleeping site, not only is it marked from their cheek and their anal glands, there'll be a latrine where the entire group lay their scat. Now sometimes you'll see a dwarf mongoose reversing, yes, going into reverse gear and putting its bottom upwards in the air. So reverse and up. And what they're trying to do. This is a youngster. That's a youngster. What they're trying to do is push the anus, if you like, much higher in the air so that the glands can touch the vegetation, so that they're getting the scent from the glands as high as possible. They don't want everything to be on the ground. They don't want it to be completely, flat scent. They want the vegetation around the sleeping site to also contain the scent of this group. And it can last a really long time. The scent of the dwarf mongoose. They don't really have a plan. They'll just sleep in whichever den site is nearest. They will slowly circumnavigate, if you like, and make their way back round all the dens. And the scent will last for an extremely long time. And then they will know, they will recognize their own scent. This is one of our sleeping sites. Can you smell it? This is ours. Hey. And they can be very aggressive with other groups of dwarf mongoose, especially if one is trying to take their sleeping site, be it den, be it termite mound, and they can charge one another. Very aggressive, biting. And generally speaking, the larger groups tend to win, and they tend to take over the smaller groups. It's a numbers game. But they want to settle disputes as quickly as possible. So I think Marcel and I are going to sit and enjoy this moment a little bit longer, and we're going to send you guys across to a very hot, sticky lion.
You can see our lion is still doing a whole lot of nothing except trying to keep itself cool and sane. The flies must be causing it all sorts of concern. It's been flies buzzing around, landing on its face the whole time, really causing it to snap and shake its tail and get up and lie down and move around. It's moved now from the area underneath the tree into a nice sandy patch in this drainage line. A nice cool wet sand is probably very soothing for its extremely big fat belly. As it has now finished the whole carcass. I can now see the carcass. It won't be visible from the camera, unfortunately, but there's nothing except one single bone that I can see. And the skull is probably somewhere, but it seems like this lion devoured everything. Almost nothing is left. Oh, now you can see how big and fat that belly is. It's as round as a balloon. I bet if I poke that belly, it would pop like a balloon too. Mariette, the lions here on Pridelands, and in fact most of the lions in the Greater Kruger National Park, will be left completely to nature's way. It won't be touched or interfered with in any way. unless something happened that was man-made. If this lion had a snare around of its leg or, was somehow a victim of poaching of some sort, then yes, the authorities would intervene to get a vet out to see if they could help this lion. But otherwise, no, they don't get any vaccinations. They live their life completely wild and free. Now, that's not to say that there wouldn't be some sort of medical intervention if there was, I don't know, we're facing a pandemic. Imagine if lions started facing some sort of similar, population-threatening disease. The authorities might step in and see if they could halt the spread of the disease, because, of course, lions are incredibly vulnerable. They do face not necessarily extinction, but eradication from much of their range due to human expansion. So we need to protect whatever populations we have. Now, the Kruger Park and the Greater Kruger Park is very lucky to have a healthy population of lions, but that is not so difficult to change. If there was one particular disease that came through, it could make a huge effect. You can see the black tip of that tail there flicking every now and again to try and chase these flies away. Lions have short fur, so the flies are able to reach the skin just underneath that fur if they wanted to get a little bit of blood that might be stuck inside that fur. Or from one very large carnivore to send you over to a slightly smaller scavenger.
Hey, look what we got, everyone. So we got it here. It's amazing. We're traveling just after we left these elephants on one of the, it's called Elephant Skull Road, where the den of this hyena not far from here, but it looks like she already trying to, practice them, get them to practice to move around these young ones. So I was so surprised because all of a sudden I saw them in the rain in front of the car, and when I stopped, I realized I just saw the mother also with them. So it's cool that, they would actually learn a lot of axes around here. Just to make sure when they grew up, they were able to do it themselves. And then learn how to move around, steal, scavenge from the others. Other cats, such as a leopard, lions as well. It's actually going to be a big clan that move in and out. And there seems to be all spread around. The male, they don't actually stick with the female, especially when they have young one. The young one, all is their duty to make sure they return back to the den. Make sure these young ones drink milk and all this, bring carcass back to the den. And they are nocturnal, but it happens when they feel like they can start get mobile anytime they feel. When it's not actually sunny anymore, it's just that humid that still take place. She might actually drive them back to the den again. So as usual, they will actually maybe walk across the car underneath. So at this stage, whenever it's a carcass around here, they will these mother will make sure they let them to respond to that carcass if it's close by this age. So I'm gonna try to see if I can stick.
And good afternoon and welcome back to Tswalu. It's still 36, 37 degrees Celsius, and we just decided to stop off here in the shade and look at these interesting fungal growths. So, I'm not quite sure what these mushrooms are, but mushrooms are quite interesting structures. So quite often people do confuse them with plants. However, unlike plants, they cannot photosynthesize. They also don't produce seeds. They actually reproduce by means of spores. What I do find quite fascinating is that funguses have managed to evolve a number of different patterns on how they would actually gain nourishment. One of these is as parasites on a live host. The second strategy is by actually going into a relationship with another life form. One of these is what we often find on rocky surfaces, which is known as a lichen, which is actually a combination of an algae and a fungus. In this case, the algae has the ability to manufacture food by means of photosynthesis, as it has chlorophyll. And then what you'll find is that the fungus will actually extract all the nutrients and minerals from the rock. When we do go to the eastern half of South Africa, where we find fairly large termite mounds, such as those of termites, we actually find that they have an association with specific species of fungi, which they will use inside their mounds, and they will cultivate these and farm them with the purpose of breaking down their food for them in a digestible form, as termites can't digest their own food. Some termite species have also evolved to have microorganisms that live in their gut to assist with the breaking down of their food. There's a number of species of fungi that is edible. However, you have to have superior knowledge of which species these are. Generally, what we can find with the funguses, those that look like those that you find in books about fairies with a nice little ring around the bottom, are generally referred to as amanita mushrooms. Those with a frill at the bottom of the cup should always be best avoided, as that they are quite highly toxic. The third strategy that funguses will also follow is simply to break down dead plant material by growing in them and extracting nutrients from them. However, those that have relationships with other organisms is those that I really find fascinating. Good afternoon, Peter, and welcome to the show. Just in terms of your question, how can I tell that it's a fungus and not a plant? Firstly, plants normally have chlorophyll, which is a green substance which they can use that can produce food. Neither do they look like the typical mushroom that you buy in a shop. In the meanwhile, we're going to hand you over to Andrew and continue our search to see what we can find.
Indeed, of course, so that hyena, it's actually cutting, probably heading back to the den. So I'm going to see what's going on at the den there. Maybe the other members are there. So, because this happened, that maybe she wanted just to make sure that his young one practice their movement, getting to learn how far, and this is where they'll finally get far away by themselves. When they're anything from 9 months, they were able to forage by themselves. So I'm going to be driving towards the den to see what is happening there. We're probably going to find them there, maybe arriving at the den there. And then we're just going to see. She probably, I don't know what's her plan. Maybe she want to take them back so that she can able to go hunt by herself. so she don't get disturbed by them. We found out from there. Since Talamba the tracks, she's not actually crossed yet to the west from Torchwood, and we were probably going to find out the update from the guys that are working in the area, because they are the guys that are checking around or following on her to see if they can relocate her again. But yeah, for now, no update about her. So it will be very much interesting to know if she's still in Torchwood or so, or she had moved away from there, where she might be gone from there. But she's more likely to return back to Djuma or across into Beverly Souk. Especially if she found out that there's not much of a challenge for her here. And the challenge we're talking about, maybe two females trying to compete in the same area. And that it will make her come back in and out in this area quite a lot. So let me try go around. I'm sending you over to Mike with his beautiful sunset.
We were driving away from that lion. He was still very static. And as we moved away, we noticed this incredible scene. And we thought it's a perfect time just to enjoy quintessential African sunset, with a bird of prey sitting in a dead tree and an African grey hornbill just announcing to everyone that, hey, watch out, there is danger here. And I suspect that that might be a snake eagle of some sort. Maybe a brown snake eagle or a black-chested. I've seen both around recently. Just looking for last-minute food or chance to hunt before the end of this gorgeous African sunset. The extreme haze in the air just makes it glow golden in the sky. Julia, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It is spectacular. In fact, one of the more beautiful sunsets I've seen in a little while. Glad you're enjoying it with me. With us, I said. Slowly sinking amongst the leaves there. It's amazing how quickly it drops. When we stopped here a few minutes ago, it was halfway up that dead tree. Now it's almost can't see it anymore. Once that sun sets, a whole host of different animals will start getting active. The lions will start getting on the move. Leopards, hyenas, genets, porcupines, bush babies, owls, and all the diurnal animals, the daytime animals, will start to find their places to rest for the evening, keep themselves safe until day breaks. We're not going to be able to watch this too much longer. The sun sets so quickly this time of year, but we'll enjoy it while it lasts.
Have you been watching WildEarth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. WildEarth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live WildEarth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily. WildEarth is launching our brand new Explorer program with an opportunity to win a very special WildEarth expedition. The lucky winner will get a behind-the-scenes WildEarth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala Tainted Safari Camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend with a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse. Become a WildEarth explorer and stand a chance to win this and many other prizes. Terms and conditions apply.
Another peaceful scene at the den. Aubrey radioed me and said, Lauren is active, come. June's little one was out, but she's now suckling, I think. June's positioned herself perfectly, as they always do. They plug the entrance and keep that little one safe, but I don't think it's going to stay still for too long. Swazi was here. He's wandered off. And we've got Heart and her little 2 munchkins. No sign of Ngwazi or Shabulu, or Corky's little one yet. Now, it's been an incredibly hot, sticky day, I'm afraid. It's been uncomfortable, and I can only imagine that it's been uncomfortable for the hyenas too. So we didn't have much luck anywhere else today. We tried. Of course, we had Tingana at the start, but that's rather unfortunate. But other than that, no such luck. So finishing your drive off at the hyena den is not a bad thing at all. Now, I checked 4 dens for Ntima. Oh, I do see Ngwazi and Shimbulu. I eat my words. I'm not entirely sure. You see them, Marcel? Oh, you will. Oh, okay. I believe there's a leopard very close by. Hold on 2 seconds. I wonder who it could be. We're almost at Treehouse. There we go. Hello. I wonder if FC, could you do a very kind favour and let Andrew know that there's a leopard at Treehouse Dam, and if he wishes to race there, he should. I don't know who it is, but it's a kitty cat with spots. Thank you for giving us that view, June. So here comes trouble once again. Mr. Swazi's going to walk right in front of the vehicle. There we go. So I think Ribbon's over there, which is interesting. Maybe it's just a little bit cooler over there. It's in the thicket. And here we go with Swazi's antics. Now, I didn't get the name there, but you're asking about the matriarch's role. And it's to maintain order. really. I mean, of course, there's a nepotistic society here. You're born with that silver spoon, or you're not. And the matriarch's right at the top, so she will receive many benefits from her position, but her main role really is to maintain order. Hyenas are extremely powerful animals, and with powerful bites, they can run fast, very resilient bodies. Imagine if they all ran amok. There was no social order. They just all ran amok. No one responded to anyone. There was no social structure. I can imagine that would just be chaos. So the matriarch maintains the social structure. She ensures that the hierarchy stays in place. And by doing so, she receives lots of benefits from that. Getting better access to food, all the other females bowing down to her. She normally ends up putting on quite a lot of weight and becoming substantially bigger. Now, if you look at Corky, and Corky's fall from grace, she's definitely lost a lot of weight. She's got smaller, she's lost muscle mass, and she's definitely not the size that she used to be. Oh, that's my head. Bombing the shot. Ah, there's Corky's daughter. I wonder where you are. The BFFs. Here we go. Oh, we're just going to walk right past each other. Okay. Corky could possibly be over there. I can't see. I can just see a few spotted bodies. Okay, so I'm going to sit here much longer and enjoy my time with the hyenas, but we're going to send you across to Grant and his leopard.
To come back as it's cooled down a little bit to where we found this carcass earlier this afternoon, and to check if there was any sign of the leopard. It was a pretty intact impala carcass. Oh, she's moving it now. Oh, she's... I'm pretty... to come back in the evening, and exactly that has happened. And we've arrived just in time because she's just got in here. So it's quite tough, I'm sure, for you guys to see at the moment, but it is the same young female we were with, yes.
Alright, so we now got a leopard with a female trying to just turn here and get a look. For everyone. Yeah, but she's just on the road, so it's amazing how we drove past the dam here. In the last moment we were called that is a leopard. And she's now heading west, which it's good that, you know, we're gonna probably spend time with her. For now, it looks like there's now a lot of other vehicles joining. Maybe later a lot of vehicles joining right now, because leopard is a leopard. Everybody really wanted to see leopard. I'm not sure. Looks like to me it was a Tandi. I'm not a Tandi, but it's a Lamba. But I'm going to take another look there. Not 100% sure. So if it's her, oh well, she might have moved far. But in this area, we're not surprising. We won't be surprised if we found out that it's maybe that Shidulu or it's really in the boundary. Justificate there, now she's moving on. So it's working again. Scratch the ground using their back leg, urinate. It's all the way of communication, so whoever is behind, whoever will visit the area here, other leopard, will be able to know that there's another cat in this area dominating. Lamba, she's been seen in this area. And she often comes this way and it's straight north towards Quarantine. This is where she normally operates. I'm gonna keep up with her. So, you know, where, if she ever moved from this far here, which is now far from the east where we were searching, it makes sense. You know, if she actually been on a move, use these roads here to access, you know, her boundary, activate her scent, she could maybe finally move too far than we thought. So it's good, you know, that we have, I believe, Hokumuris and Juma still. Jake, also you want to know how heaviest of a prey leopard can put up in a tree. So female started from the, you know, impalas, which impala weigh 55, possibly 60 kg. And that's actually biggest of a prey. As a female she can, but the male, which they weigh far too strong or bigger, they were able to host a fully grown warthog male and size of a zebra foal, wildebeest baby, and a young kudus. You know, those weigh anything from 70 kilogram, nearly 60 kilograms, somewhere there. So they're a lot stronger, the male, they can host. Heaviest prey up in a tree is unbelievable. Resin actually well built up with such very strong muscles on their front legs, allows them to able to, you know, carry on with their strength, and that's how faster they are. But, you know, a female like this, if she would kill something that she cannot put up in a tree, she's more likely to feed on the ground. Open the tummy, but make sure when she does that, she don't disturb the content or gut, which then sometimes can bring a lot of other challenges where hyena will smell them, and all of a sudden the company come in. But when the stomach is out, then the meat is already itself very light for the leopard to put up in a tree. But not all leopards prefer to do that. Some leopards, they prefer to feed from the ground, where then it's not safe or not safer, but then they feel comfortable. They don't have to balance or trying to make sure they don't fall off. Where up in the trees, it's safe, but then they're not actually comfortable eating from that tree. So we already saw that with that Tandi yesterday when she got a hold of that scrub hair. Mainly when they hunt, they don't focus mainly on impala, those I know, and it reminds me now where we just turned there, come back this way, it was an impala, single male impala there, and I'm just gonna stick with her, see how far she goes. I'm gonna be sending you over to run.
Sorry about the last little attempt we made at showing you her. We're hoping that it will be a little bit better this time around. And she is feeding now. We've managed to find a little window through this very thick canopy. And this is another saffron tree. And this is where she stashed the kill. I'm surprised that she wasn't in here earlier when we came past, because it was very nice and shady. But maybe she went down to look for some water. Oh, nearly dropped it. Luckily for her, it's a young impala, so she's able to move it around quite well. Oops. So guys, I'm going to try for you to go forward a little bit, because there is another little window where she's just gone, but we may lose you, but let's give it a try. And there we go. Amazing, she just cleared that gap with that little impala in her mouth. Amazing to see that acrobatic strength of the leopard. And she's just feeding. She has still got quite a full belly. Do you remember yesterday when we saw her, she had a full belly, and even this morning her tummy was still full. I think she's just making the most of the young animals that are around at the moment. Yesterday she ate a warthog piglet, and at some stage she managed to get this young impala. And even with a full belly, she's still eating. So her mom is still in this area, we think, and her mom would definitely chase her off of this kill if she came across it. So everyone, we are going to have to say goodbye to this leopard, because there are lots of guests that are very keen to see her, and so I think we have had a really, really nice view of her, and we're going to go and see. We're going to stick in this area and maybe see if her mom is in the area as well. So we've actually decided to come into the eastern part of the reserve now, to Kalahari Dam, and actually just take a breather, reflect on what we've seen this afternoon, the experience, and relax. Just listen to the hippos play, listen to the birds calling, the dusk chorus. Just take a few minutes to breathe and take it all in. actually quite lovely. We've got a gentle breeze coming in from the north, pushing off the water. The hippos are actually starting to go towards the bank. A couple of impalas coming. But you can hear all the birds, the franklins, the plovers, spurfowl, weavers, everything just calling. It's absolutely wonderful.
Sorry about that. I don't quite know what happened to Tswalu, but we just cannot stop watching the entertainment that's been going on at this hyena den. Listen. Look at the size comparison between Swazi on the left and Hart on the right. Oh, he's doing some anal pasting. Oh, Hart, what are you doing? This is a lot of excitement in one frame. Now, one comment I must say is Hart is so full and June is even fuller. June is mahusive, shall we say. I do not know what she swallowed, but these hyenas are well fed. But Mom, do you have to do that? Sharon is only mum that feeds, it's only mum that allows suckling. They don't allo suckle in a clan. And if a carcass is brought back, then everyone is a free-for-all. I'm not quite sure what Swazi is doing here, but it's a free-for-all. And of course, that's when the hierarchy comes into play. It will be a bit of a feeding frenzy, but it's the high-ranking individuals that get first dibs on the carcass. The low rankers normally have to wait. But when they bring a carcass back for the cubs, normally it's just mayhem. And all the cubs get very excited by the smells and the tastes, and they can't eat a whole carcass. Of course they can. Oh. What is that? A stick. How exciting. So they can only nibble on little bits of carcasses, and it's not sort of a altruistic society like wild dogs. The little cubs out. The adults will also feed as well, and there's a hierarchy within the adults, whereas wild dogs will ensure that the pups are fed first. They are the absolute priority before any adult, and potentially the much older, weaker ones. Then the rest of the adults will feed. June, please don't squash your baby with that mahusive belly. Koi, yes, hyenas are primarily nocturnal. Primarily. And I say that about everything. There'll be seasonal shifts, there'll be daily shifts. Nothing remains constant out here. A lot is to do with the weather, the availability of resources, and generally speaking, they are primarily nocturnal. On a day like today, it's far too hot to be active during the day. But if an opportunity walked right in front of them, they absolutely would not say no. But it was too hot. It's sticky, it's humid, there's no air to breathe. Marcel and I were just talking about that. It just feels like You have to really draw the air in because it's so humid.
The air is like custard.
Hmm?
The air is like custard.
That's Marcel's opinion on that. And yes, in winter they will be a lot more active during the day because it's not as warm. So what hyenas do, they just wait until the sun goes down and it's nice and cool, and they wait until they pick up on scents. Is it a leopard with a kill, or are they going to hunt? Hey. No. So it's not necessarily that they go out in search of leopards. They wait and see what fills their nostrils. Is it the scent of a kill or a leopard? Or are they just hungry and they're going to hunt? They come across an impala lamb or a wildebeest calf or a duiker or a steenbok. Hyenas are very resourceful and very resilient and very adaptable. At least the spotted hyenas are. They're in the same family as the aardwolf, which solely eats termites. Between 200,000 and 300,000 of termites per night. But for the spotted hyenas, they're incredibly resilient. Momzilla, they're closely related, yes. So a lot of people think that hyenas are dogs or related to dogs, the Canidae family, and you can absolutely see why. Behaviorally, they're quite like dogs, and physiologically they are. But in terms of genetics, they're more closely related to cats, but they're still quite distantly related. Their closest relatives are the mongoose. Absolutely, the mongoose groups of animal. You are correct, Momzilla. Which is rather bizarre when you think of it. But a lot of people often mistake them for, well, dogs. What are you doing? The tires just provide never-ending entertainment here. I can't imagine ever getting so much joy from a car tire, especially when you have to change them in the middle of darkness. Nope. There we go. And why are they attracted to the tires? Well, they must smell. We roll in some of the foulest things. The other day with Marcella, was it today, we rolled in Kalamba scat. Yes, that was wonderful. I mean, popcorn urine is one thing, but scat is another thing. And of course, that naturally sticks to your tires and stays in your tires. And, well, the hyenas clearly love it. They're just driven by their nose. They cannot resist any sort of smell. They're highly olfactory animals. I think Hart's leaving now. But don't worry, we've got June here, so we can still stay at the den. We wake up every single morning with hyena tracks in our camp. Every single morning. Barbara, you must be new to the Juma clan, so welcome. I need to give you some history here. So the matriarch is Ribbon, and this is a fairly recent position taken by Ribbon. In November 2019, goodness, over a year ago now. Wow, this year has been one of the worst, but it's gone incredibly fast. Anyway, that's beside the points. In November 2019, the matriarchal takeover happened in our camp. And yes, it was Corky who was the matriarch, and she was injured, and she was obviously not maintaining her position. And Ribbon was at the very bottom. She was the lowest ranker, and she was much smaller, and she looked she looked miserable, actually. And she clearly decided it's time to change the status quo. It's time to challenge the matriarch. I am going to conduct a matriarchal takeover. And she did. And now she's the matriarch, and Corky's in the bottom too. It's a rare event, but not unheard of. It also happened in the Masai Mara. Waffles, an incredible hyena who, of ginormous proportions. She's also collared. She also conducted a matriarchal takeover. She got a girl gang, and the three of them decided to overthrow the matriarch and challenge her for the position. Now, the North clan is a lot bigger than the Juma clan, substantially so, but Waffles did that. And then she's still alive. There was rumours that she had passed, but she's not, thank goodness. And when it was time to she's getting to an older age, she decided to actually hand over the position to her granddaughter, Soup. So it wasn't a takeover. Soup didn't challenge Waffles. There was maybe some aggressive interactions. But literally, Waffles one day must have just decided, I'm just going to hand this position over to Soup. Soup is still a relative, it's still the same bloodline, same genetics, it's her granddaughter, and now Soup is the matriarch of the North clan. So matriarchal takeovers are not unheard of. We're starting to learn a lot more about them. But social alliances in doing so is very important. Now, Ribbon seemed to go against the grain in that she didn't have a girl army. It appears Ribbon did it with Intima and males, and that is quite unheard of. And although I loved Cork so dearly, she was an incredible matriarch, I'm also proud of what Ribbon's achieved. I don't quite know what Marcel's up to there. Are you okay, Marcel? But yes, it's watching the Juma clan. I know there are people out there who don't enjoy hyenas, but every single time I come here, I learn a lot more about these animals, and they are just fascinating. To be able to... What does that tell you about the cognitive ability of an animal that decides, I'm going to challenge the status quo. I want to be the highest ranking hyena, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get there. That's intelligence. Is his heart in June? I think Heart's getting a queen tea to the little one. I'm going to sit and enjoy this precious moment, and I believe Andrew has found the moon.
Thanks, Lauren. So I have lost our leopard. Moving into drainage line there, we couldn't follow into that due to the wet. So yeah, we're just gonna sit here, do the silent segment, which you're gonna be able to listen to all sound of a beginning of a night. Andali, I agree. It's actually deadly quiet. All you hear, it's all of cicadas and all frogs taking places right now. doing their own instrumental songs. JP, so you want to know my favorite sighting? A leopard in Djuma. So, you know, Thandi, she tends to be very much my favorite leopard. And then she's actually very good. She's an intelligent female leopard we have. And she's also in that she has a very much good experience of raising her cubs. So, and she actually very good on teaching them how to survive, how to hunt, and they come independently. Even though then we have a talam around in the area. She's also one of the good hunter as well. So Thandi, yes, I would put her on first. So I have to pick the great sighting of leopard in this area. So I'm gonna carry on here, switch around up. I'm hoping to bump on that leopard again on the road. So I'm gonna be sending you back to Lauren with the hyena again.
Ribbon entered the scene, still limping very seriously, but she'll be fine. She will really be fine. She needs a good meal. Ribbon's just here. She's not as full as the others, that's for sure. She's been calling. Everybody left, so we turned on our engine to leave, which is why we're in a different position. And all of a sudden, Ribbon arrived calling for everyone, and they all came back. It was so lovely. Communicate so... I can hear some clanging and some banging. Oh, no, this is not good. No, Swazi, you're too big for that. Is it Swazi? It's Swazi and Heart. My goodness. It's the first time I've seen Heart inspecting a car like this. There's a hyena lying down in the den entrance, but my visual capacities are... I don't quite know who it is. June left. She could have returned, I guess. Yeah, that looks like June's position. Yeah, June's back. Everybody's back. We think Heart ranks third after Ribbon and Antima. Heart's in a good position. She's huge. She's a big female. Swazi making that noise. Or is it ribbon? I think it's ribbon. Ribbon's not happy, that's for sure. It's ribbon. That is a grumpy matriarch. She needs to get a good meal, get lots of nutrition inside of her, lots of calcium, and she will be fine. Robin, who are you calling for? Your twins are having far too much fun running around the den. Okay, we're definitely going to sit here as long as we can, as long as the adults stay. I'm going to send you across to another live location.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Tswalu. We're currently sitting at Pridelands Dam. As you probably have noticed in an earlier shot on the screen, we did locate on lions. Unfortunately, they were in an area where we had technical difficulty with sending and receiving, and so could not film them and interpret further. However, just to put it in brief, a little story how we found them. We were busy looking at the mushrooms, and when we heard the calls of and fighting of lions in the distance, we then followed the direction of where the calls came from. Suddenly we also found a number of meerkats, which was focused looking at something in the distance, and these little guys actually assisted us in finding the lion. At the moment, we are waiting for them to see if they will come back to the water. Hopefully we can show them to you. But in the meanwhile, we would like to give you the opportunity to enjoy the silence and the calls of nature while we're sitting at Pridelands Dam. Good afternoon, Annie, and welcome to the show. You 100%, there are beautiful, soothing sounds At the moment, it's the sounds of wattled starlings coming in and out from drinking, and the wing beats of common swifts, which has migrated some 10 to 12,000 kilometers from the northern hemisphere into southern Africa, enjoying a quick drink over the water. And meanwhile, we're going to hand you over to that beautiful moonrise.
There is the moon already up in Pinda. We've come out into some open clearings where there's lots of animals that have come out of the thickets and out of the shade from the day, where they were sheltering from the heat, and they've come out to the clearings to rest for the evening. And you'll see in that little herd there's some tiny little wildebeest calves. Some birds making their last calls for the day. So we thought we'd just come and listen, sit in this area and listen, because it's so open. If there are any of these animals that are resting in the open areas, if they spot a predator, they will give their alarm call. But for now, it's a little bit quiet. Some impala lambs as well. And you see how they've all come very close together to rest. They're covering all the angles around them, making sure that they are able to detect or spot any danger. And they've come right away from the thickets on the edges. Sorry guys, go ahead. Copy, thanks. They're all just settling down. You see some of the adults have laid down already. Mary, typically they can only have one calf. I haven't heard of a wildebeest having more than one calf, and most of the antelope, it's the same for all of them. They usually only have one. They do have two teats, so two mammary glands that they can, that the calf can, or the youngster can suckle from. So I suppose it is possible, but usually, and from what I've seen, they only have one. They are typically only able physically to have one calf, but there are every now and then, I suppose, a miracle in the bush where they can have two. It's usually only the predators that will give birth to more than one young. Remember, it is quite a burden for a mother to protect herself and look after herself, and then also make sure that she looks after her offspring. And so as soon as there's more than one, it becomes very, very difficult. I think we're going to carry on from here, and we're going to see if we can find any nocturnal animals on our way back to the lodge.
Join our Explorers program so we can keep on sharing nature with the world. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic WildEarth expeditions, have access to an animal identification app, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn connects a global population with nature.
My name is James Hendry, and I work here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands on the western fringes of the Greater Kruger National Park. My favorite part of getting questions from viewers is that we get to have long and varied discussions about all sorts of different aspects of nature. Because our audience comes from all over the world, it's very special to have different perspectives from everywhere. If you want to submit a question on WildEarth, you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to the Live Safari page and submit your question beneath the live feed.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a WildEarth explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
What makes and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve so special is our massive array of habitats. And with that comes, of course, a beautiful diversity of landscapes, but also an incredible biodiversity in terms of plants, bird life and animal life, as well as, of course, our conservation success stories with cheetah, with rhinos, now with pangolins too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
We just bumped into Inyala female, the same leopard we found this morning, and a youngster is following behind her. What a beautiful road to choose to drive on our way back home. As you can see the youngster there, and we are just going to have to keep on reversing because they're walking right on the road towards us. Basically what we've been doing all day for all the animals, which is lovely. So we are in infrared, and I'm trying to judge where the road is with my own human eyes. It's a little bit harder than you think. But stunning having these two walk, and it's the first time I've actually seen a cub in a very long time. So you can see, of course, they're going to choose to walk on the road. It's the path of least resistance. Oh, missed the road there. Sorry, Biko. Need to turn a little bit. So every now and then she stops and she sniffs. And like I was explaining this morning, there's a new male that would have moved into this area. Oh, she's snarling. Okay. So this male might be somewhere around here. She's not happy about something. Actually, here is snarling. James, surprise spot indeed. It's actually quite interesting. So we've got the youngster right in front of us. I think the youngster was actually trying to play with her and stalked off to the side. So I'm going to let them pass me quick. I'll just try and lean to the side, coming straight past my vehicle.
All right, come in.
Very, very, very close. There we go. Yeah, Nikki, keep coming towards northern entrance. The youngster is still in front of us, and Nyala female's past us now. If you keep coming on Big Bend, northern entrance. So what happened there was the youngster was actually trying to play with the mom. And so trying to stalk out of mom's sight. And like youngsters do, because it's only her and her mom, she'll try pounce on mom, and that's why the mom was snarling. That's why Nyala female was snarling and growling, because she just wasn't having any of it. Even at this age, still very, very, very playful. A beautiful animal. So you guys are watching this through infrared. I'm just trying to watch this with the naked eye. So literally all we have every now and then is a white tip on the tail and the ears that we can see. Now, I think she's still just in this bush. I can't hear any of the grass rustling. I'm going to try reverse again and find the mom. Yeah, so there's the youngster. She's now actually moved off the road. Tuma, last minute leopard? Yes, you can't ask for anything more than that, can you? So BK, she is moving just left of, yeah, there. So this is the cub still, the youngster. Mom has moved off somewhere behind us. I'm still trying to get Nikki in here. Nikki's driving guest, so we're going to sit here for a little while to stay with the youngster. But yeah, no, stunning animal. Without a doubt, my favorite animal out in the wild. Although I must say, really nothing cuter than a lion cub either. It's just been a phenomenal afternoon for us. Amazing how quiet these animals are when they move. Nyala female, she probably walked 30 centimeters away from our vehicle, and I could not hear a single sound. And there the youngster goes. She just starts seeing it, not even lifting the tail up, just disappearing into the bush. Also very aware, keep listening to everything around her. Stops every now and then, listens to other sounds. And these would be things that humans can't hear at all. I mean, their sense of hearing and sense of sight and sense of smell is so way beyond ours. It's honestly the ultimate predator. I'm glad we found them again. I mean, just seeing the mom sleeping on the termite mound this morning, we went back there right in the beginning and she was gone. So that's kind of why we chose this road, thinking we might actually bump into them, and it definitely paid off without a doubt. What an afternoon. I think the mom might have moved off-road now. I can hear Nikki coming in our direction, so we're going to just sit here, show Nikki where the leopard is, and then make our way home. But like I said, what a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant afternoon. Thanks for joining us.